Got an Exmark Laser Z S Series. It's the radius. It comes with the Ultrascut 52-inch deck on it. It's in here for a hydro leak on the right side, so we went ahead and did the seal kit on the right side for it. Put it all back together, let it sit. The next morning we come in, the left side's leaking. Well, left side didn't need the whole seal kit, it just needed the top seal had blown out, but we went ahead and replaced it. Everything's good to go there. So what I wanted to go over real quick on this is just some of the common issues with it and some of the things I love about this mower. So the deck is the first thing I like to kind of point out. The Ultracut, it's got an awesome fabricated deck here. Everything's real super easy to get to. So if you have any buildup of grass or anything like that, all you have to do, pop the covers off, just pull them back, and they're off of there. So nice and easy access to everything, nice and easy access to the belts, to the idler pulleys. Wherever you need to get here, it's nice and easy access. So the deck is great, nice fabricated deck overall, cuts good on it. People love that about it. As far as the throwing of the grass, a lot of times it does clump up a little bit on these on the way out. So if you're going through heavier stuff, that could definitely be an issue for you. But the suspension on this thing, it's kind of the whole seat here with basically the My Ride suspension from Toro, essentially, is what they've done here and adapted to this Exmark series. So, or something similar to it. So you can adjust it here in the back to whatever kind of ride you feel best, whether it's a stiffer or a less stiff ride, depending on how the ride feels for you. So that's good. People like that about it for sure. The engine on this thing, basically the same engine they put on a lot of the Toros anymore, whether it's residential or commercial. They're made by Lonson. So in my opinion, it's kind of just one of the Chinese clones out there. You know, they make a million of these under a bunch of different names with different shrouds and different looks and stuff, but they're all basically the same thing. So this one's branded Exmark here, but Lonson makes it. Cheap Chinese engine. So don't expect to get a whole great life out of that. This thing again has I think about 272 hours is what it says. Oil was changed about 100 hours ago, a couple years ago it looks like, actually. So the oil filters on these are extremely strange, not a standard thread. I think they did that just for proprietary so they could sell their expensive Exmark or Toro filters, but there are some aftermarkets out there you can get that are way better than these. These things aren't even made by Exmark. They're not. So go with the aftermarket. Don't spend the 20 bucks on their filter on these if you're going to replace them. That's for sure. So the hydros on these, they're great hydro units. I'm not really sure why we had so many issues with this one. The customer said originally the bolts backed out here at the tank. So they backed out at the tank and one of the hoses came off. So when that happened, if I had to guess, he introduced some air into the line or something, and that's what blew out the top seals at least. Yeah, you don't want to top these off. You want to make sure there's not air in them, or you bleed them after you possibly get air in them. Otherwise, you can definitely have issues. So other than that, the hydros are good. But with 272 hours, I mean, he's been pushing it probably pretty hard. But it's just kind of strange to me, especially with the ZT 3100 commercial on it. So 272 hours, this thing should, you know, last 600-700 hours before you really start having issues with it. So in my opinion, that's kind of an oddball there. I think they're great hydro units on this thing. I think they last for a lot longer than that, but the leaking was probably due from that faulty expansion tank. If I had to guess, you're going to want to make sure that there's some Loctite or something on there. That's probably a common issue across the board. I haven't heard of it again, but if they're just going to back out like that, maybe from the vibration, could definitely be an issue. So the only good part about this engine whatsoever is the easy drain. It is pretty easy here. All you've got to do is pull the hose kind of up and out of here. Just pull it straight down, and then it comes out of this lock here, and then you just pull it down, let it drain out, and then when you're done, all you got to do is put it straight back up in there. You know, no tools required or anything like that, and then you just unscrew your filter, replace it with a new one. You're all set and ready to go. So the last thing I wanted to point out here is the lack of grease zerks on this thing. Don't find too many on this unit, I can tell you that right now. There's no grease zerks on the spindles. There's no grease zerks on any of the areas here that move like there was on the old Exmarks. They used to have grease zerks on pretty much everything. Everywhere you could think of that needed some grease would have grease zerks. Now, even the spindles don't have grease zerks. So I don't think it'd be too hard to, you know, drill down in there and put a port down to give it a little bit of grease. You know, that way you can get the most out of your bearings. Well, yeah, they say it lasts the lifetime of the bearing. Well, sure it does. The lifetime of the bearing is just half of what it would have been if it would have been greasable. So no grease zerks on any of the other moving parts, none on the spindles or anything like that, none on the front caster forks, none on there. So you can pop the cap here and throw some grease down in these front caster forks, but everywhere else where it would have been greasable before, I mean, they had grease zerks on, again, almost everything on this. So the only place you find grease zerks is on your front tire axles. And I bet the only reason that those are there at all is because the manufacturer who makes those, the one who made those for Exmark, probably has those already pre-installed. That would be my guess anyway. Otherwise, there's not really any use for it when they don't put grease zerks on anything else. So it's just kind of strange to me on a high quality mower like this, on a high dollar mower, something that they charge, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars for, that nothing's serviceable easily. You know, it's all meant to fail within 10 years. You know, any of these joints, all this metal is going to be worn out, especially in a commercial use, without anyone taking care of it and being able to grease it. All this metal is going to be worn down so much that all these components are going to be needing replaced. So at that point, you run into where they just stop making components, and then they can sell a new mower. And that's what a lot of these companies just seem to be doing at every level. You're making things to be obsolete within the next 10 years. That way you can sell, you know, you can sell twice as many mowers over the course. So my opinion on these is it's a low quality mower, low quality components, disguised to be a high quality commercial mower. I wouldn't pay the price for it at all. I'd look for something with grease zerks. I'd look with something for a nice, you know, commercial Briggs engine, or a, you know, nice Kawasaki, something like that. That way you're not running into issues with these things, with parts availability, with you know, things being obsolete and not being able to actually take care of the equipment yourself, having to take it to the dealer, having to rely on them for a, you know, for a front adjustment bar that they've made obsolete just for the heck of it, you know, come years down the road. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.